Persistent and sometimes severe drought conditions, punctuated by occasional flooding, and limited raw water storage capacity largely define the water management challenge in Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Las Vegas is a community of 18,000 residents. It's located in the desert southwest. It's an oasis where the Rockies meet the Great Plains.
Well, over the last several years, we have been going through a tremendous drought. Up till the last year or so, we had a reduction in the amount of water coming down the Guyanas.
Right now, it's flowing 30 million gallons a day, and it's probably 40 to 50 feet wide. In the past 5 years, I've seen 2 times when that river has gotten down to a foot across. So now we can not only expect a lower river flow during the summer months, we're starting to see cloudbursts that cause flood conditions, and they send us very turbid water, which makes it really hard to treat.
EPA engaged several small to medium-sized drought-impacted utilities to identify lessons learned and outline effective strategies to increase resilience to drought. For the city of Las Vegas, New Mexico, persistent drought required a multifaceted approach. Drought Response and Recovery, City of Las Vegas Utilities Department, Las Vegas, New Mexico.
When we hit 120 days of water, my first reaction was, why are we here? After I got through that initial shock, then it was, what can we do on an emergency basis to give, number one, the public confidence in the utility company, and then being able to get things done quickly.
Our first reaction was to get really aggressive with leak repair and leak detection, and to also get really aggressive with metering.
In addition to that, we are looking at additional groundwater supplies. One of our wells is brackish, and so we currently have a project of blending that water with more potable water and being able to supply more water to the city from groundwater.
We've also made good use of effluent water. As you see, the spark is nice and green. We've got miles and miles of lines throughout the city. Just about every park in Las Vegas is being watered with effluent water.
We've had a very aggressive conservation program, and we've partnered up with local entities, local groups, local schools to get them to work with us to conserve water.
A couple of years back, we used to use an average of 4.5 million gallons per day, and now as we speak, we're at 1.5 million gallons per day, so I think it's really made a positive impact with the city and the whole water conservation.
In addition to these efforts, the city of Las Vegas realized they needed to explore long-term solutions to their water supply and storage capacity.
Even though certain times of the year it's slow, or we have a lower supply of water, there are times during the year when we do have plenty of water. Unfortunately, we can only capture so much. So the city of Las Vegas hired several engineers to do an analysis of the city's water system.
They looked at the storage, the conveyances, the distribution system, the treatment plants, the conservation, the water rights, all of those things, and came out with a study that was in essence a 40-year plan for infrastructure improvement.
Bradner Reservoir is one of the 2 City of Las Vegas reservoirs. Between Bradner and Peterson, the 500 acre-feet that we have is not enough to sustain the city for an extended period of time in case of drought or in case of low water flows. So currently we're planning on enlarging Bradner. The goal would be to have a year's supply of stored water in case of serious drought.
Identifying possible solutions is one thing, funding them is another.
Rates are a really important part of the process. If the community doesn't understand why you're asking them to pay more, then they're not going to support the rate increases.
We have a progressive rate structure that we have implemented that really takes the customer to account and puts more of a production cost on the water that we make. As we try to go down this road of drought resilience, one of the things we noticed is it's really hard to put together the funds to pay for a large project, such as taking a reservoir from 300 acre-feet to something over 2,000 acre feet, you can't just pull that off in 2 years. It takes several years of planning and at least a year of construction.
We have to work with Corps of Engineers, we've got to work with environmental departments, we've got to work with the state engineer's office, we've got to work with the governor's office, we've got to work with the New Mexico Finance Authority, we've got to work with Water Trust Board, State Revolving Fund, and multitude of individuals before anything becomes possible.
I think the hardest thing is making sure that everybody's coordinating properly. The city, the contractors that we use, the engineers, the regulators.
The funding agencies in the state of New Mexico, NMFA, has done a great job of supporting the city and working with the city on solving our water issues.
With a long-range plan in place, funding and projects underway, the City of Las Vegas is poised for a more secure future.
The answer is not in doing one thing, it's in doing multiple things, having a diverse plan. So by having the 40-year plan and then the short-term 5-year plan and then that immediate emergency plan and everybody buying into it, we've been able to stay on course.
Explore EPA's Drought Response and Recovery Guide for additional ways to make your utility more drought resilient at www.epa.gov/water utility response.